Welcome back to another TI Testimonies video. We want to spread this truth that is in this statement, this testimony, and this testimony itself far and wide for people. These are matters of the highest priority, and people's lives are in danger. Now, you're about to hear some world changing information, and this is intelligence for all intelligence agencies, for all governments, for all news reporters out there that want a story to cover. Well, there are plenty of victims and plenty of stories that they have to tell, just like this one. So please listen very closely and watch with due respect. Katascha, her testimony here. Thank you.
Hello. Okay. So I believe that I was chosen for the program when I was about between like 7 or 10 years old. Um, First strange experience that I that happened when I was in Harper's Ferry in a national park over by there with my aunt, and she left me to go use the restroom. I was approached by a man who was about in his about mid 40s. He had black hair, he had piercing blue eyes, and he was about uh, I don't know, 5'9", I believe. And like it was like very potent. His aftershave smelled so awful, and it was very potent. He had bushy eyebrows with like white mixed into it. He sat down a few benches over from me and asked me what my name was, and asked me my age, asked me what are my likes and dislikes, but I didn't talk to him very much. He made me feel very uncomfortable. He had a very dark energy about him. He also asked me if I was popular, if I had a lot of friends, just some things that I like to do. I got very creeped out by him, and I told him to stop talking to me. And then he disappeared at one point because I saw my aunt and I walked to her. And then I looked back and he was not sitting at the benches anymore. And then when we were leaving the park, I had to go use the restroom, and my aunt went to the car, and I went into the restroom, and then I heard, as I was peeing, I heard in the middle of that, I look down and I see the same brown loafers that that man was wearing. He was at the very end of the stall, and it scared me so much that I quickly like got myself together and I ran out of the bathroom. And I like that was my first stalking experience that I had endured. And then after that, uh, what is it? Through the remainder of time, it always seemed like I had a lot of bad luck going through school. Um, when I was in the fifth grade, around that time, there was a kid who was named Luke. He was um, put into our class in the middle of the year. And at one point, when we were doing tests one day, he looked over at me and he said, "I'm the mole." And I remember like being concerned. I didn't understand. I was like, "Is this a game that we're playing? I don't understand what that means." And I went home and I told my mom about that. And she didn't know what to make of the situation either. And I realized after that a bunch of kids had told me that this child had spread a bunch of rumors that I said I didn't like so and so, and then my whole class didn't like me after that. So that was also another first experience of like how they put people in your life around you that to sabotage you as at child in the MK Ultra program, so that they can start like molding you in you have to start experiencing like early trauma. And then as time went on, there I've experienced when I was 16, I was also stalked by a man on the subway, who tried to rape me. He tried to kill me as well, and a couple came by and saved me. Um, threw me off of the when I was getting off the metro, threw me over and like proceeded to try to rape me.
Wow.
And yeah, I escaped from that as well. So, and I was
That's horrible.
17. I was 17 when that happened. But he was also stalking me at that time. And then
Do you think
going
that he was involved in the program, or do you think it's just somebody
it
else?
it's possible it could go both ways, you know. I don't know, because this type of stuff, it seems like, because of, I don't know if I give off this like, I'm not going to fight back, but I really will, and I'll bite your head off. But I feel like I kind of project that into the world and stuff. Because he asked me like what time it was. He was trying to speak with me, and I was being vague with him, but also made me feel really uncomfortable and didn't really want to engage with that. And police never caught him either. His name was Nami. Police never caught him. I do believe that, yeah, he was sent by them. Um, there was one day, about a year later, I saw that same guy. I saw him eating at a Chinese restaurant. He came in. I was already sitting there with my boyfriend at the time. He came in and he sat down with some like four guys, and I immediately told my ex, and we got up and we got out of the restaurant. We flagged. There was a cop already in the shopping center. And I told them, I was like, this is the man that tried to rape and kill me about 7 months ago. And the cop made me feel bad and told me that if this was incorrect information, that I have a lot of nerve and um, I should not be saying stuff like that if I don't know it to be true. But he had the same tattoos as the person, and they also called him by the name that he told me his name was. So, yeah.
And that, like, you were like a private investigator at that point, right?
No,
Like,
I was.
no, I mean, like, you were investigating on your own at that point, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was looking. I don't forget faces, and I was also in the area of the metro stop that he said he had to get off at. So,
Wow.
and then the cop made me feel bad not to try to. And then the cop went in and talked to him for me, came back out, and he said, that guy says he's never seen you before. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
what they all say, literally, and like
yeah.
in all the movies too. It's
So
like it's like
through
the
my
number
life,
one line.
yeah, through my life, and I'm sure other women can relate to this too, is that through my life, police have actually not done a single thing, as far as like, especially when something very serious like that happens, police dodge it. And I think that they're more, they are pro perp, more
Well,
than.
I think the problem with the cops is it's not necessarily that they don't want to do anything. It's that the system doesn't allow them to because they don't have any power as just regular cops.
But
I
from
mean, they
that
can, but they have to push, 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 push.
but from this situation, that you'll get cops like that, but from this situation, how he this officer went into the store, he went into the restaurant, talked to this guy, and then came back out and took his word for it that he's never seen me before.
Yeah.
So yeah,
A
yeah.
lot of those fuckers are very, oh, sorry for my language, very convincing. They're skilled in a lot of them neurolinguistic programming. From what I've seen on the internet and from other victims and experienced myself, I've seen, we got word for word what people were hearing in their head, and they put it in quotes for us,
Right.
what they were hearing like hundreds or thousands of times repeatedly, psychic drives into their head or whatever. And it was neurolinguistic programming, and it was hypnosis techniques. There was the MK Ultra 2.0. There was basically beta sex kitten programming. Trying to create alternate identities, creating multiple personality disorder, dissociative identity disorder, whatever. Somebody's connecting to this right now, to this URL, or something's going on here, and it's very strange. It seems like they're having some interaction, and to me, there's more than one.
There's more than how many are in the chat right now?
There's more than one thing connected to this live stream somehow, but it doesn't make any sense. And four. Oh, it said
How
there's
many? How many people?
there's nobody watching right now, except for the people watching right now, in the future.
Views.
You
Okay.
got it.
So
This is very serious stuff, guys. We're not playing around. I mean, you can't just make this stuff up. Um,
that
Listen
was
to what she's got to say.
so that was like one of the first experiences. I also sorry to like skip over, but I truly believe also like when I was in elementary school, there was this one time I had woken up from sleeping, and at the time I didn't understand what that was. Now being an adult, and I truly believe that I was also possibly being drugged by these people at a very young age because of the glassy. It is like I don't know what that is. It's like a glassy feeling and of waking up and just feeling euphoric. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? So I believe, and there were other kids at school that said that they felt it too, and it's also
Like your
yeah.
spaced out.
I think that my school was chosen. I think that because it was a small town, and I believe that we were like it's not just me; it was other kids that I went to school with. They were a part of that programming as
I'd
well.
say that's a sign of being in a trance too. Your glassy eyes.
Yeah, yeah. I had like this but other kids, I came to school and I was just like, I feel great today. You know, like it's like that, but you have no idea what that actually is. And the other kids were saying back to me too. They're like, yeah, me too. Like I woke up and it feels different and stuff. So that's what makes me also think that it's just like we were all chosen for that. We were all chosen for that particular type of program of like with starting out and everything. That's how it starts, you know. And these are all things that I can recall because of photographic memory. I don't, it's very intense at times. I can meet, there are people that I meet once that I will never forget your face, you know, and I've proven that time and time again in my life. But anyways, okay, so now like going forward, what is it? So in when I turned 18, and I was about to graduate high school, my parents both let me know that they told me most of my life that I had a college fund, and that was a lie. And neither one of them was going to pay for my scholarship that I received and for the remainder of that. And so I did not go to college. And uh, my, uh, what is it? My mom suggested to me that I joined the military.
No.
And yeah, and then this was around the time that no people were they were pretty much at like a max around that time, and I was basically going to be a shoe-in for the Air Force, and I had there was somebody from the Pentagon that wrote my referral letter for me, and I've never met this
Oh,
guy before. Uh,
that's weird.
yeah, so they had been trying to like get their hands on me for a while, um, and then through time experiencing abuse from, and I'd rather not talk about all of it, but experiencing abuse from men one way or another. um, so through that time, so it like kind of like distorted me of like being anti-government and anti the man and stuff, because like a majority of my family was a part of that already. And it's really dark. I also come from a family of Freemasons. My grandfather died in an accident when I was 9 or 10 years old also.
Mine,
And
yeah, mine
uh,
did too.
yeah, so isn't that interesting? And
Yeah,
how did your grandfather die?
boat.
Mm, oh, it was a boating accident? Yeah, you need to start opening your mind to maybe it wasn't an accident. My grandfather passed away because his brakes failed to his car.
Well, that's
And then I
weird.
started to realize I'm like, I truly believe that these people had something to do with it because of also the police knew him, knew, and then from what I'm starting to understand now further into my research and understanding Freemasonry and in like these secret uh, groups and stuff of what they do and where they're established, they're everywhere. You know, these people are in every sector of anything that has to do in the form of power, whether it be cell phone companies, police, government, you know, officials and stuff. So um, I think that they helped in the cover up of what happened. They tried to say that the brakes were old, but there were different things, and that didn't add up into my grandfather's um, into his like into that accident and stuff. There were certain things that didn't make any sense as to how he passed, and then and he was also building a house. He was on his way to get to a property that he was trying to build that was in the woods away from everything. So he had a lot of
You think
secrets.
he's got something underground over there?
I don't know what that means.
Something underground, like secret
I don't want to talk about
layers or something.
this. Is you saying this. This is
Yeah.
not, no. He
All
was
right.
just, I think that he was trying to isolate away from, like, be in an area that it's not open, where there's not neighbors, maybe to like look out and stuff, like
Uh,
type that we
some
experience.
people go out there, they got like underground layers and they got all these gadgets and stuff, like,
Oh, we'll
for the
get
end
to
of the
that.
world and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
They got everything prepared. Like if it's like an apocalypse or something, they got like TVs and everything down there. Probably satellite internet.
Yeah.
They get like Dexter's Lab underground. You ever seen Dexter's Lab? That's a
I
good
have.
show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have.
But I got a question for you. Do you experience any dream manipulation or any kinds of intrusive thoughts or forced speech or anything in your mind that is clearly 100% it, not you,
Um,
and
so
not a mental illness?
what they like to do is they they have it so that you're talking about V2K. So I have experienced V2K of hearing them twice. The first time was in 2017. It was what was it? October. It was like I believe, yeah, it was October of 2017, October, early November of 2017. So I was sitting on the couch in my friend's apartment and we're hanging out. And then they went to go use the restroom. And they are also military affiliated, and but new agey kind of now. So um, uh, when I was sitting on the couch, I can hear what sounded like my stepbrother passed a long time ago, and I could hear what sounded like him, and it was entering through the left side of my ear, and it almost seemed like like I could hear him. He's like hello and like stuff, like trying to like like it's like his voice was like trying to reach, you know, and that was the first time I experienced V2K. um, I believe and I think that whatever, as far as the neurotechnologies of what they're using right now, I think that we had this type of stuff installed inside ourselves at a very young age. I think when we were children, um, because there is somebody that has been floating around in my life that was military, that I remember seeing him as a child, and I never forgot his face. And I saw him this last year in Maine, and we spoke to each other like we knew each other very well. And
Hmm.
the CIA probably hates that I know that and that I remember that. So, but I don't forget faces, and it's yeah. So that, and this guy was just on a beach vacation, but you could totally tell he was ex-military. But I also saw him the year before that I was in Texas at a national park, and he passed me, acting like he was going jogging, and it was very brief, and he has a very distinctive face. So it's like he had an earpiece in, as if he was like, like some type of agent or something. Like, I was like, who runs with an earpiece like that, right? So, and then I experienced like experiencing the street theater and stuff, and then
Gang
this
stalking.
yeah, and then they planted people in that park to like say specific things, like things that I had already like talked about with my friend who I was with at the time, like the things that we talked about, or and
Like
like
trigger words and phrases to let
yes,
you
yes,
know that
yes,
they're following you.
yeah, yeah.
But where
So
if you say anything about it, they intentionally made it so that you sound crazy.
right, right.
A
So they're
psychological operation.
yeah, they're passing and doing stuff like
Gaslighting.
that. And it's people like acting like they're jogging or they're hanging out with their friends and stuff, and they kept doing
CIA kind of stuff.
yeah, yeah. And
But they're
so
they're labeling everybody terrorists that ain't terrorists,
right,
so that they can be terrorists and
right.
control them.
So um where was I going with that? Oh yeah, the second time I experienced V2K, that was, when was that? So 2022, I would say about March of 2022 is the next time I experienced the V2K. I was laying in bed with my boyfriend at the time, and um, we were both off that day, and I was relaxing. I was about to take a nap and everything. I'm facing away from him, and then I could I like I had my eyes closed, and I was thinking, I'm like started thinking, but then it's like, is my relationship really working with him, da 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 and stuff. But then I caught myself because I could hear a man literally narrating my
Yeah,
thoughts,
that's what they do,
and then
and you
I
can't hear it
and
until
then
you're almost asleep but still awake.
right, and then at that same time I opened my eyes, and he's facing me, and he goes, and they at the same time, the voice I could hear and him say to me, and that's V2K, because I had always wondered, I'm like, what is that? So not only did they hear my thoughts of wondering what V2K is, they they've narrowed it down. That's how good the technology is that they've narrowed it down. Like, neuro rights is so important right now. Chile, you guys, whoever's watching this that thinks that this is all bullshit, look up neuro rights Chile. They have already passed these laws in their country because the president knows this to be real, and his people are like fully on board, because the United States right now is literally pouring money into all of this type
And
of research and
you know
technology.
who else
And
is recognizing as real? The United Nations. That's enemy control. That's a Trojan horse to the United States government.
right, right.
And they're
I
set
didn't
up with
know.
their international courts to get the CIA and the FBI with their infra guard and the NSA and all these assholes that are stupidly, or it's not, sorry, not everybody's an asshole, but so many people are just following orders. Sir, yes, sir. Like, if you're committing Nazism, if you're doing something that looks like it's, like you could be described as demons by definition for doing it. If it's unlawful, normally, to everyone around you, if you have to be secret about it and not tell your family members when you go home, if you got to sugarcoat it a little bit or a lot, then it's probably not right, is it?
Right, right. So, and we're bouncing around a lot. I'm really sorry about that. As
All
far as
right.
the timelines, I tried to
It's
like
all the
stick.
same topic, really.
Yeah, I tried to stick to like a proper timeline. Anyway, uh so yeah, there's that. And I opened my eyes, but then because, and I don't blame him at all, because he's very, very stressed out at the time. My boyfriend at the time, like I like where you fall energetically, it does matter because you're more susceptible to their bullshit when with their mind control and everything. You're more susceptible to that, depending on where your vibration like
It goes beyond
is.
V2K too, guys, because that's what they want to say. They want to say Havana syndrome. They want to say microwave weapons, synthetic telepathy. That's old stuff. They're far beyond that. Now it's just straight up in your brain. Now they're connected. They can connect with your brain with a headset and see all your thoughts, experience your thoughts with you in real time, and think
Right,
thoughts into your mind. They could
right.
see out of
So
your eyes, hear out of your ears. They could do lots of
when
stuff.
no, but they're also selling that data and that experience to people that are willing to pay top
Yep.
dollar
It's like
to be
Strange
you.
Days, the movie.
Let me tell you something really quickly. When I was in that area, what was it, in December of this last year of 2022, I was doing DoorDash and I was dropping off an order, and she like I couldn't figure out where her apartment was, and this woman picks up her phone. I saved all of her information. So yeah, I'm coming for you too. She had the nerve to say to me, she says, it's been a, she showed me where her apartment was. She's like, by the way, it's been a lovely experience being you. And
Oh, that's letting you know. They're
yeah, but
inside
they
your.
let you know
Yeah, that's
through,
crazy.
people know about this. Like a lot of people already know
The
about
tech is out there. A lot of people can get it too for like 50 grand or less or something like that. They can get this technology and connect to your
right.
brain.
Right. And what I did to her, when she said that to me, I hung up the phone. I shook her McDonald's bag so hard and then threw it at the door and peaced out, did not care, because you are not going to violate me like that. And it disgusts me. Like they literally, and that's why it's like it hurts so much. It's like why? Like you failed you failed as a person in your own life to spend all your money that you're making off being a tech person or whatever to jump into somebody else's body.
I
It's like
think these people are demonically influenced or
no,
something.
I and like for people, again, if you don't see the truth of that, like look up what is it? Who's what is his name? Um ah it's escaping me right now. I have a horrible headache. I'm sorry. Nikola Tesla. So he literally made a patent of soul snatching. I can't remember it, but look it up. It's when you take it's taking energy from a vessel, okay, of this type of energy. That's what we are made of, okay, and storing it into somewhere else. It is possible that that is how these people are doing this shit to us.
It's quantum computing, quantum supercomputers. We got Robert Duncan that's coming out. Oh, he already came out with his book, Project Soul Catcher. And
Yeah, yeah.
he's the former
I've read some of
CIA
it.
contractor.
Right,
For those of you that don't know, you can look him up. Robert Duncan worked for DARPA, the Department of Defense, and the CIA. And he helped develop these voice of God weapons, these brain hacking technologies. And he's now a whistleblower targeted himself by these same individuals that are basically like modern day Nazis and worse. They're like satanic Nazis, and they're taking over the world. And
right,
part of their ways to take over the world is take over your brain, take over your thoughts, your beliefs, your perspectives, your mind, and your bodies. And
right.
that's like the best way to do it. That's the best Trojan horse there is. What's a Trojan horse in comparison to that one? The original, it's got nothing on that.
You might need to. I'm gonna rip this off because of. You might need to take out the blur that Fiji water bullshit for
Yeah, man.
copyright.
You see what they were saying about liquid death? I just watched the video about
Oh
that.
yeah, no, I just watched that too. All right,
They
let's.
literally hired a witch to put demons
No,
into
I
it or
saw
try
that.
to.
I had they were giving me that when I was doing production stuff on tour. They were giving it tastes like crap.
They're
Anyways,
making
that's
people think it's a joke, but it's real.
it's
This stuff's
gross.
real.
Tastes like
Spiritual
crap.
forces, guys. Spirit over mind over matter. They flipped the pentagram upside down, put spirit on the bottom because spirit is the highest element. What that is proof of God or proof of, how everything came to be. It came from the spirit because there can be no other elements without
Right,
spirit, which is the highest. So
right.
they're trying to flip that around, guys. And that,
So
that's making you think there's not that going on.
I want to talk about briefly. So I was living in New York. I lived there for 10 years, Brooklyn, and also what is it? I lived in Harlem also for a little bit, and yeah, I miss that place. I miss it a lot. It's a great neighborhood. Anyways, so I was living with my roommate, um, and that was my first like, okay, what the hell is going on? Like, what did I just witness? Type thing. So one day I was in my room. I was in like this lofted room, and then here's the living room. He was in there with this girl with like long brown hair, and there was like nobody in the other room, and he was in there, and they're watching TV and they're talking, and they're sitting across from each other on the couch, like one here, space in between, and he gets a phone call one day, and he picks it up and he's like, I can't hear you, bro. Who is this? He's like, wait, what? And then he puts the call on speaker. All of a sudden, I hear this. You can tell it was a white man in about like his like 50s, 60s, maybe. And he says, Blue, 42, Emerald, Mary had a little lamb. Its fleece was white as snow. And then did some other numbers. It was numbers, colors, and like nursery rhymes, which was very bizarre to hear. And then the guy finished the sequence that was on the phone. He finished the sequence and then hung up the phone. And Jim Carrey, I watched that. It was like a late night, he was on some late night thing. He's making fun of that because he knows it's true. So they desensitize you to the truth.
Yeah.
They're knocking
Like the Super Bowl, they're
like,
putting it
yeah,
out there.
he's like, oh, it's the CIA. Yeah, guess what? You've also been to Epstein Island, dickhead. I'm not your fan anymore. I hate you. And I've met Jim Carrey too before. My boss worked with him for Eugene, right? You have a Eugene line. We've met before, Jim Carrey. We've met before. I don't know if you've like whatever. Okay, I'm not even gonna go into that. But yeah, so that happened. The guy hangs up the phone, and then I yell down to him. I'm like, yo, Pablo, is everything okay? I go downstairs, and him and the girl I see them like straight on the couch. The screen is now blue in the living room, and the CIA probably hates that I caught this. You guys hate that I caught this, and I'm exposing this shit right now. You hate it. You fucking hate it.
I
Here we go.
always loved Jim
Wait,
Carrey. I'm not gonna lie, but
I know. Listen to this
it's
though.
hard not to
I go
love Jim
around.
Carrey.
These two are like they're like zombies, just like looking straight ahead. And I go up to him. I was like, Pablo, stop messing around. Like, what's going on and stuff. And he was just like this, sat like that for 5 minutes, didn't even blink his eyes, as if he was in a complete trance. And so was his friend. And then I went like that and went like that, shook him even. I was like, and he just stayed the same, to the point where it scared me so much. I ran back upstairs and I had no idea what was going on.
I've seen them trans
And
people out like that. I used to do that to my
wait,
ex-girlfriend over the phone.
you let me
Mess with her dreams.
started hearing him. He said he's yelling all these like obscene things, slut, whore, blah, 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 and stuff. He's like reenacting some scenario with his friend, and they're staring at the TV, saying this stuff. And then 15 minutes goes by, and then I see two guys walk into the apartment, takes both of them out. These men had hats on, they had dark sunglasses, they were wearing dark suits with like white button up ties and everything, takes them out of the apartment. Two men. I hid on my bed so far. I think they came up my steps to check to see if I was in the room. And I'm hiding in the corner underneath my bed. Like I'm like, oh my
The
God.
spooks.
Right. Yeah. And then they oh my God.
How did they take him out? Were
And then
they like dragging him out of there?
wait, let, no, they both picked them up, took them into the hallway. I have no idea at that point what happened with that. I just dipped under my bed. I saw both
I'd
of
be
them
out too. Screw that.
pick him up first. I didn't see her anymore because I look over and I see them in the living room picking him up. And then one of them looked up, and that's when I went straight into my bed and went underneath and like was, and like even I remember grabbing something black and like putting myself in the corner underneath my bed, like huddled up into a little ball so that they would not see me.
You
And
think that was like their handlers or something?
I have no idea. I heard the door shut, and then about 20 minutes goes by. Pablo comes back in, and I'm like, I look at him and I was like, are you okay? And he's like, what do you mean? Am I okay? And stuff. Cause that's how he usually is. He's his whole persona and everything. And he looks at me. He's just like, you're fucking crazy. He's like, what's going on? I was just like, you were just here with your friend. He doesn't remember any of that. He does not recall what's happened in the
They
last
had
40.
K Ultra'd him.
Yeah. So, and then wait, listen to this. So then I looked down. I was just like, he's like, I've been out all night. I was like, Pablo, it's 9 o'clock. Okay. Cause he usually goes out. We used to go out all the time at like 12 ish. It was like 12, 1 ish and stuff. Like we would go out. We usually would go out to the afters, but we would go out somewhere first and then go to the afters after, but not around 9 o'clock at night. I also looked at him and I was just like, oh, really? I was like, oh, you were out all night? Where'd you get that shirt? He's like, couldn't even answer the question. I've never seen him in this shirt. Like they put it on him, and did whatever to make him think that he just came back from a long night of partying and blah, 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 blah. He thought I was like, what time do you think it is? And he's like, it was just the most bizarre thing. I thought I was experiencing some sort of time slip because at that time I was like looking into that a lot. And I thought I was like, did I just manifest this? Like, what the hell is that? No, it's MK Ultra. This is their technology of how they do this type of stuff. And in these major cities, all these people with these types of personas that you see, these character developments, these are all, that's your alters.
I
That
think those people that have personas are like the most easy to manipulate and
no,
control around you.
they are because, and we have to hold space, and like they're still in it and they are doing their bidding and they don't realize it. They are still a part of the mind control program. So anything that they say that would be like hurtful and stuff, it's all these people controlling this particular person, making them into something that they're not. And then they create these characters because those are alters for sexual abuse, for psychological abuse, you know. And that's where all of these types of like personas come from. Okay. And especially if you meet someone that has multiple personas and everything, like those are all alters that exist within one
And these are
person that
celebrities,
they
these are politicians, these are cops, agents, soldiers, you name it. These are average everyday citizens in the hundreds of millions worldwide right now, or more,
right.
counting.
Right. So
That's what we're exposing right now.
you can't hold. So my point being about that story and how he's like yelling slut, slut and everything. Well, what he was acting out with his friend is something that he did to me 5 years later. 5 years. Okay. So they were just programming him in that moment because they knew that I was living with him. And they like, so I don't hold Pablo, I don't hold anything against that person. I think deep down inside, because he showed me who he was truly and stuff, I think that he's a wonderful person. Everything else that he ever said and did to me, I think was absolutely 100%. It was pure programming. I think that he's a very kind person. He has a pure heart. He has developed all these different types. He goes by Chad. He goes by like all these different types of characters. It's because he's still a part of the MK Ultra program, and he is just, me and him are just alike and stuff of like, you know, the shit that we had to go through at a very young age and stuff. And he probably doesn't remember all of it, all the abuse and all this stuff, you know, because that's how they get you.
So
And
you
but
know
his
they
parents,
were programming him with an altar to mess with you, is what you're saying.
what is it?
You know that they were programming him with an altar or using an altar to
Right,
mess with you. Yeah.
right, right. So it's like, you know, they, and it says in the Bible to love thy enemy and stuff. And that's why. Okay. So you can't take everything to heart of what these, the other side of these people are saying to you, because they are under their control. So, and they hate that I just said that. I bet you guys fucking hate that I just exposed you for that I caught that. It was a wink from the universe, the fact that I got to witness something like that. And I don't give a shit if anybody thinks I'm fucking crazy over it. I witnessed that. And it's,
They don't like
that's that's how
powerful,
I know.
influential, good-looking people, being able to speak out without them being able to control them, I think. So, they
Right.
don't want you to be able to say anything on this platform or any platform, and they want to, if you're going to say
Because
something,
I
it's going to
got
be what you
logging
want
in right
or what
before
they
we
want you to say.
start. They kicked me out of this app, and then I had to log back in, but yet my other one was still logged in. It's because they wanted to sit in thinking that, oh, we're just gonna ignore that. Like that's what that was. They just want they're watching me at all times. So
It's like
um
Rockwell. I always feel like somebody's watching me.
so also
That's
I
what it
would
is. Literally.
I I I want to say, I guess in this moment too right now, is that I've done a lot of exposing in these last few days, and like also moving forward and everything. I would never hurt myself. I'm not a drug addict. I am 100% like I got nothing going on. Okay, there has been many death threats made on my life for all
They
the
tell you
stuff.
to join the club.
They said in a vanity plate that they missed me because I was
Uh,
their sex kitten psyops. So yeah,
Even Rihanna exposed sex kitten programming, beta sex kittens, with her T-shirt too.
yeah,
For anyone that wants to pretend it's not existent.
yeah. So it's a real thing. It's out there. It exists and stuff, and you just have to catch it. And what Disney and all of those guys are trying to, program new children with is to be like chaotic little,
Yeah,
chaotic and feel and be raging and stuff. Like they
it's
want
really
all of
sick
that.
how they manage.
So
How they so
they're trying
covertly.
to turn empath children. Yeah, they're trying to turn empath children, such as my niece. They're trying to turn empath children into these like they're what they did to me, like killers, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's
MK
because we're
Ultra robot sleeves.
yeah.
Yeah. People don't see the programming, so they can't catch it. They can't stop it. That's the problem. If people could become aware of it by watching these testimonies and going,
Right.
just go to targetingexposed.com. And that's all the
So
evidence you guys will ever need right there. And that's for the victims as well. There's forums for people to talk, that are victims. There's chat rooms like this, and you can record your chat stream right to YouTube. So, you know,
I want I want to move into the what is it, like going forward now into the trafficking side of it, because I don't understand why they expose themselves at that time. It's like I don't know if it's because of my bloodline, me being Mason related, or like I don't have all the answers to all of this. Like I don't know what it is, what like why they tell me like why they show us information, like it's like, oh, this is this and this is this and everything, it's like walking through life like, wow, okay. So I was living in Burlington, Vermont. Someone that was a good friend of mine for 10 years, also living in New York. I believe that they planted this person into my life. He was one of my handlers. I think he was also very obsessed with me, which was like very creepy. And he was an informant for the CIA, and they planted him in my life. He knew a bunch of artists and people that I knew and stuff because he broke into that community. So I, like, you know, I thought I could like be like okay with knowing that person. His name is Gregory Graff Nixon. He's about like, I think he's like in his mid to late 50s now. I think he's about 57 now. Um, so this guy was a friend of mine, and what I didn't realize is that the entire time of me living in New York, he was the one breaking into my apartment and doing all the creepy stuff that gang stalkers do. This is before like a lot of people started becoming gang stalkers. Um, so it caused a lot of problems in my relationships with my ex-boyfriend, with my friends and stuff. Me thinking that they're like robbing me and stuff, and yeah, I don't know. It was really crazy. So, what was it? Uh, so this person uh, lost everything, supposedly, lost their business, supposedly, which was not true. Their business partner cut them out of this store that existed in Bushwick. He went back to Vermont. He was telling me he was like not doing very well, that he was thinking about killing himself and everything. So I supported him, and like I paid for his ticket to get to Vermont, and I wanted to be supportive and stuff because he didn't like have a lot of people that he knew anymore, and I'm not the type of person, I don't like just like abandon somebody like that. So I went to Vermont to check on him and stuff, and I was there for like a month or two, and then somebody on the property that he was living at stole my wallet. And then I go to him and I was like, what the fuck, you know, like, what am I supposed to do about that? And what I didn't realize is that um, through that time, they were accumulating information about me. They were accumulating information about me to uh, induct me into the targeting program. So Jonathan Sawyer, who also works on the property, 326, what was that? I gotta look up the address, but they all these people, they worked on this property. They're all involved in that, in their informants for the fusion centers. So I'm surrounded by all these assholes. And are you still there?
Mm-hmm. I'm here.
Okay. So uh what is it? Yeah, I I started working there for a little bit, and then they were trying to keep me at a minimum, I realized, so that I couldn't leave. And then in when was that? There was, what was it? I got there in February of 2018, and then February, and I believe it was March 8th of 2018. I was riding my bike to go get a coffee one day, and I see this guy, and he's like looking at me, and he's driving very slow in his car. He stops in like a block away from the coffee shop that I was going to, and he doesn't get out of his car. And he's like pretty far. He's like 20 or 30 feet away from me, already parked. And then as I'm slowly riding up, this guy is on his cell phone, right? And then he goes to step out of his car. There's nobody on the street. I don't see anybody walking. I see nothing. And I'm riding my bike. This guy opens his car door, and it wedged so perfectly in between the spokes of my tire that it launched me 20 feet from my bike. I hit the side of my head, and then I flipped, and then on the sacrum area of my back, and then my ass, and then I skid. like 5, 6 more feet down the road. And I go to get up. I can't, I'm all messed up and everything. I had a traumatic brain injury from
Oh
it.
my God. I'm
Um,
sorry.
and then suddenly, though, there's like 15 people standing around me. I did not even see any of them, have no idea where they came from. And honestly, from my experience of like what happened after that, I think that, yeah, that was another informant. This is somebody that is on his phone with the people that are doing this to me. And they are coordinating when he was supposed to open his door to take me out, and I think that they were trying to kill me. So it's like, or hurt me really bad, which they succeeded,
That was
you know.
a motorcycle bike
No,
or a
no,
bicycle?
just a regular bike. It launched me 20 feet from my bicycle. Like that's
Wow.
pretty intense.
You're going
And so
pretty fast,
I
huh?
flew in the air. It was like
They must
it was
have been that
slingshot.
had to have been carefully calculated if you're going that fast.
The way that it wedged in between the spokes of my bike, it was like perfect timing of him just opening the door, so I slingshot out and stuff, and then he stepped out of the car and we locked eyes and stuff, and he was on his cell phone and everything because he was getting instructions by them to do that to me. And I see it for what it is now. And then I don't know where the 15 people emerged from, so there was that too. The whole thing I think was staged, now that I think about it. The whole thing was staged. I went to the hospital. I couldn't speak for like 6 months. And that's when, because it resets your mind, it resets your brain after that. And then, what is it?
They
Oh
can
man.
see where you're going, anywhere you're going, so they know where,
Yeah. Do you mind? Can we pause for a little bit?
Yeah, I believe we can pause here, or we could do a part two.
Yeah. Could we
So
just like
we'll do.
pause and then I can get my stuff together?
All
My
right,
thoughts.
no worries. All right, let's stop it here, and we'll do a part two later.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Phew.